Good evening and thanks for joining us for tonight's edition of the news in the English language on DBS television. Before we get into the news in full, let us get a headline. The coming of the Sinopharm vaccine to fight against coronavirus in Cameroon sounds like great news, but is instead received with great skepticism amongst Cameroonians, many of whom believe that the solution lies in a natural treatment and medications. This is the sole headline we offer you in tonight's newscast, but you shall have details of this story as well as of other stories in this edition of the news when we return in a moment. Stay with us. Good evening once more, and thanks for tuning on to DBS television for the 7 p.m. edition of the news, which is in the English language with me, Cynthia Ngwemo. Like you heard on our headline, Cameroonians have been expressing the non-desire to take the COVID-19 vaccine, which is Sinopharm, made available in the country since this Sunday. This despite the Minister of Public Health, Dr. Manauda Malachi, taking the first step. A number of them say they would rather take a traditional African treatment than receive an imported vaccine. Our reporter Joy Ngong spoke to some Cameroonians in the city of Douala today, and here are the opinions she sampled for the news.
2 days ago, Cameroon received 200,000 doses of the Chinese vaccine against COVID-19 Sinopharm. After a viral video showing the vaccination of Public Health Minister Manauda Malachi yesterday, Cameroonians have expressed assorted opinions as far as being vaccinated with the Sinopharm vaccine is concerned. A majority of the population would rather a total boycott of the Chinese vaccine.
Non, je ne peux pas prendre le vaccin du corona.
I cannot take the vaccine against corona because what is going viral on social media proves that the minister did not really take the vaccine. He needed to make us see that it was really a syringe. They did as if they were injecting, but we did not see the injection, so I can't.
Moi, je suis pas d'accord en ce qui concerne ce vaccin parce que
I am not in agreement with the vaccine because the vaccine is not assured. When there is a pandemic, it takes at least 5 years to produce a vaccine. But the coronavirus has not even been up to 5 years, and we are being presented a vaccine, and I am against that.
As city dwellers discredit the effectiveness of the vaccine, some of them would rather fall back to African, indigenous, traditional medicine.
Pour ceux qui veulent se vacciner, moi je n'en conviens pas.
For those who want to get vaccinated, I don't disagree. But as far as I am concerned, I cannot. I have natural products. Bantus. Africans have natural products created by God. My family and I, we will stay African.
Other community members, however, reluctantly advise to follow government measures as they believe the government would want the best for its people.
Il faut se faire vacciner.
I think we have to get vaccinated. Coronavirus is eating up lives all over the world. Whether or not the minister was vaccinated, the vaccine is to protect us.
Ça dépendra des autorités.
It depends on the authorities and what vaccine they propose. Whatever they choose, if the vaccine has been validated, we just have to be mature and follow the good example.
Whether or not Cameroonians succumb to vaccination, one thing is sure, the coronavirus pandemic is here. We all need to take precautionary measures, wash your hands regularly, wear face masks, respect social distancing. It is better safe than sorry.
The Muslim community in Cameroon and elsewhere have today, April 13, 2021, begun their 29 to 30-day fasting period marking the Ramadan. According to Professor Suleiman, spokesperson for the National Lunar Crescent Commission, the moon was seen in Bogo and Betua in the East region, thus marking the start of the fasting month. This has been confirmed by local Muslim religious religious leaders of the localities concerned. The month of Ramadan, being one of the pillars of Islam, is a time for Muslim faithfuls to prove their faith, deprive themselves of bodily pleasures, and worship Allah as indicated by the Quran. We now talk education, as pupils and students in the East region of Cameroon, notably in Betua, have resumed classes, and classes are effective for the third term period of the academic year. This was the report presented by the East Regional Delegation of Secondary Education as they visited some schools to inspect the resumption as well as COVID-19 respect. This report is detailed in the following with Mange Venasius.
In order to ensure the effective resumption of the third term of the academic year 2020-2021 in Betua, East Regional Capital, staff of the Regional Delegation of Secondary Education carried out an inspection tour in a number of schools for first-hand information. Amongst issues of concern for the teams was to evaluate the level at which schools are implementing the ministerial instructions on the respect of barrier measures.
The main objective of the tour was to verify the application of the instruction of the Minister of Secondary Education, in particular the disinfection of classrooms, and all the schools where we were this morning have been disinfected this weekend, and we insist that there will be a procès verbal of this disinfection, and this won't be only for the for this time. It will be a permanent measure to combat to fight against COVID-19.
Considered the shortest term of the academic year, the term leads to end of year as well as certificate examinations. Reason why school principals are making final preparations so as to ameliorate official examination results as well as rounding up the teaching learning programs within the specified period, as these school administrators explained.
Now we're in the third term, and we think that we should encourage both the students and the teachers to do their work and do it very well, work very hard, so that they can perform in their various class exams and certificate examinations, so that the school can be on top as usual.
In Betua, the message these personnel of the Regional Delegation of Secondary Education are going back home with is the strict respect of barrier measures, although in some schools the masks were provided for students by school administrations, and that classes have effectively begun.
With the return of students to classrooms for the third and last term of this year across Cameroon, there is enough or great hope for the respect of COVID-19 barrier measures among students, but also for an improvement in moral values within the school milieu, opposite to what was observed few weeks back. Let's now revisit some of the obscene practices witnessed in schools back some weeks ago, as presented to us by Mange Venasius, as well as a way forward for society as a whole. Let's get his report.
Cases of wayward behavior in our educational establishment of recent have been making headline stories in most media outlets. From Kribi to Douala, where students have turned their learning environment to arenas of obscene acts, or in Yaoundé, where a number of students have been arrested linked to drug consumption. Most of these cases were detected from videos circulating on social media. These are recent trends. It was in a school last year where a student stabbed his teacher to death. It was in a school where a student stabbed his mate to death. It was in a school where another student was discovered with a dagger. For what purpose? Only God knows. The big worry here is the quality of education being given to our children these days. Where has the concept of holistic education vanished to? Could it be wrong to conclude that our educational system has succeeded in training intellectual giants and moral dwarfs? Could the issue be ironed out from the side of formators? Has there been some laxity on the part of teachers? And if that were the case, what contribution can be attributed to parents and to the society at large? Even at that, where has the clean school policy adopted by the Minister of Secondary Education gone to? Sincere scrutiny will reveal that all stakeholders in the process of education have their own quota, each to be blamed. And so it would be a question of urgency as Madame Vondo Adelaide, principal of Lycée Dakwa in Douala, will call on everyone to participate in instilling order and discipline in the upbringing of our children.
In the same line with moral decadence amongst young Cameroonians, it has also been observed that more and more youths are plunging into the phenomenon of tattoos and piercings. The art in recent times involves not only grown-ups but equally minors, most of whom are attracted by beauty, even undermining the consequences of such acts not only on health but in society as a whole. Joy Ngong paints that picture for us in the following report.
The true importance of art lies in its power to project beauty. In recent times, there has been an increase in the demand for body modifications through piercings and tattoos across the country. This tattoo artist and piercings professional for over 2 years of his career has seen customers, including men, getting more involved in the art on different positions of their bodies.
Les hommes généralement le font juste des piercings.
Men generally do piercings on their ears, others on their eyebrows, but there are others who equally do on their lips. For women, there is the nose, the lips, double horse on the ears and also the navels. Other parts are just personal choices.
Children and minors are not exempted from this game of art. Some go to the extent of hiding their identities to get it done.
Donc si elle est plus jeune, je prends l'exemple sur 15 ans,
If they are younger, I ask them if they know what they want to do before doing it. Some even say they are 18, I am not a student, meanwhile, they are students. Because if they say they are students, I may not do it.
The reasons for piercings and tattoos are generally for beauty purposes. As this customer says, she feels more beautiful with her piercings on. However, not all that glitters is gold. Such a great masterpiece equally has its consequences on the users, but as long as it pays the artist, it is good business for him. Young people should, however, be watchful for what they want to avoid regret in the long run.
Like it is often said, a word to a wise is sufficient. That was it for news in Cameroon, and now we'll take you to news out of Cameroon, beginning in Somalia, where the parliament has extended President Mohamed Abdullahi's term by another 2 years. This follows election conflicts while waiting for new elections to be conducted. In DR Congo, the Prime Minister has announced a cabinet reshuffle with new ministers to consolidate President Felix Tshisekedi's powers in government. And in Ghana, the social media giant Twitter has announced intentions to host its very first headquarters in Africa in the country, Ghana. These are the stories we have for Africa today, and they are presented by our reporter Rogeatu Buba.
Somalia's lower house of parliament voted on Monday to extend the president's term for another 2 years to allow the country prepare for direct elections. 149 legislatures backed the proposals. The move underscores widening divisions over extending the 4-year term of President Mohamed Abdullahi Mohamed, who faces growing pressure to quit after his term ended. They vote to hold a direct election in 2 years' time, which will require the federal government and president to stay in office, came amid international pressure on Somali leaders to end the deadlock. The poll deadlock has plunged Somalia into a political crisis. Democratic Republic of Congo's Prime Minister has announced a new cabinet in a move that consolidates President Felix Tshisekedi's control in government. The new government of the Sacred Union Coalition has 57 members, including 14 women, with only 10 from the previous cabinet being reappointed. The Sacred Union is President Tshisekedi's new coalition after breaking his collaboration with former President Joseph Kabila. The ex-president Kabila still retained considerable power even after stepping down following the 2018 elections. In December, President Tshisekedi moved to end the coalition with Kabila and force the resignation of the Prime Minister by persuading scores of members of parliament to defect. Twitter announced Monday the recruitment of a team of 11 people in Ghana with the intention of making the West African country its headquarters for the continent. Ghanaian President Nana Akufo-Addo said in a tweet that the country would be the location of Twitter's headquarters on the continent, adding that it is the start of a beautiful partnership between Twitter and Ghana. Twitter declares its new team members will be working remotely under work-from-home policies while it explores. Jack Dorsey, the founder of Twitter, declared in 2019 after a visit to Nigeria, Ghana, Ethiopia and South Africa that Africa will define the future.
That draws the cut line for tonight's edition of the news in the English language with me, Cynthia Ngwemo, here on DBS Television. Thanks for letting us inform you, and while waiting to see you tomorrow for another edition, we say good night. Have a blessed evening on DBS TV.